The woman who dreamed in black and white. The first time I met her, she was walking backwards through the museum, barefoot, wearing a dress that trailed like smoke. She didn't look at the paintings only, the empty spaces between them. I only spoke to her because she smiled like she knew what I had done. She said her name was Morella, and that she only existed in dreams filmed on expired stock. The second time I met her, it was raining upside down. She was standing under a flickering street lamp in a part of the city that no longer had a name, and told me the following: there are dreams that rot if you leave them out too long, like fruit, like secrets, like film. She asked me if I had ever tasted a memory that wasn't mine, then kissed my cheek and whispered. I began seeing her in every reflection, first in water, then in glass, then on the backs of my own eyelids. The world felt off-center after that, tilted, staged. My neighbors began acting like extras. Their dialogue looped, their movements repeated, and no matter where I walked, I could hear projector static just behind the walls. That's when the dreams started, not mine. In them, she was being filmed, but no one held the camera. She wandered ruined churches where pews floated weight. She danced through empty theaters that smelled of salt and static. In every dream, I was watching her, but I wasn't me. I was someone older, taller, wearing a mask made of real tape. And each time, she would turn and say, "Don't forget to wake up before the director does." I would wake in tears, with scratches on my arms, and the faint scent of developing fluid on my sheets. Then the final film arrived. Not a dream, a reel, in a box on my doorstep, wrapped in velvet and labeled in calligraphy. Last scene. I watched it alone. Of course I did. It began with a shot of me sleeping, then it panned to my room, empty, then to a theater stage, where Morella was dancing, slowly, until she turned to the camera and said, "He's waking up." Fade to black, and the film burned through the projector. The screen caught fire, and I swear to you, the smoke spelled my name. Now I dream in black and white. The world flickers at the edges, people blink out, and somewhere, a projector is always running. And sometimes, just before I sleep, I can hear a whisper from the screen. "You were always just a character. You've just played yourself too well." The portrait that followed Samantha hadn't been looking for antiques. In fact, she had only wandered into the dusty little thrift store to escape the rain. The place smelled of old wood, mildew, and something faintly sweet, like rotting flowers, tucked into a forgotten corner of the shop, half covered by a moth-eaten sheet. She found it a portrait. A woman, probably early 30s, sat stiffly against a muted brown background. Pale-skinned, dark dress, her hair pulled back tightly. But what caught Samantha's eye were the woman's eyes. They seemed alive. Wherever Samantha moved in the store, those painted eyes seemed to follow, piercing, watchful, full of a strange sorrow. Or was it anger? She didn't know why she bought it. Maybe it was the cheap price. Maybe it was the strange pull she felt, standing there, soaked by rain, staring into that woman's endless gaze. Samantha took the painting home and hung it in her living room. That night she noticed it again, the sensation of being watched. Even when she wasn't looking directly at it, she could feel those eyes boring into her. A few days later, friends who visited started to comment. "That painting, ... it's creepy, I swear she's looking right at me. I feel like she's following me with her eyes, ... You should get rid of that thing." Samantha laughed it off, mostly. But then, strange things began happening. At night, when the house was silent, she would hear soft thumps, like someone walking barefoot across the hardwood floors. Lights flickered. Objects, small ones at first, then larger, began moving on their own. She'd find books she hadn't touched piled in the middle of the floor. Chairs nudged slightly out of place, always facing the portrait, and the woman's expression. It began to change. Slowly, subtly, the tight-lipped neutrality of her mouth shifted. First to a small frown, then, over the weeks, to something much darker, something angry. The eyes, once merely watchful, now seemed accusing. One night, Samantha woke to a loud crash. She rushed into the living room to find the painting lying face down on the floor. Relieved, she decided it was time to get rid of it. She wrapped it in an old blanket, shoved it into the back of her car, and drove it to the nearest donation center. Good riddance, she thought. That night, she slept peacefully for the first time in weeks, but when she went downstairs the next morning, there it was. The portrait leaning casually against the living room wall, as if it had never left. The woman's face was different now. The mouth twisted into a smirk. The eyes gleamed, triumphant, terrified. Samantha tried everything. Burning it, burying it, even leaving it at the edge of the woods, miles from her house. No matter what she did, the portrait always returned. Neighbors claimed they've seen a woman fit in the description of the painting's subject. Pale, dark-dressed, peering out from Samantha's windows at night. Samantha eventually moved far away, abandoning her house entirely. But the portrait, it still hangs inside, waiting for someone new to bring it home. The Room of Weeping, they called it, a hidden gem. A remote cabin deep in the woods, perfect for weekend getaways. Alex and his friends booked it without a second thought. The first day was perfect. Hiking, fishing, campfires. The isolation was peaceful, calming even. It was that first night that things began to shift. As they gathered around the fireplace, a strange sound drifted down from upstairs. Soft, rhythmic weeping. It was so faint at first that they barely noticed, but as the night wore on, the sobbing grew louder, and it was coming from the locked room at the end of the hall. There was no key, no way to open the door. They pounded on it, called out, even tried to shoulder it open. The crying never stopped. If anything, it grew more desperate, heart-wrenching, like someone mourning something unimaginable, thinking it must be a hidden speaker, a prank maybe. They tried to laugh it off, but that night, Alex woke around 3 a.m. to the sound of the door handle rattling, soft at first, then violently shaking, as if someone were trying to claw their way out. He stared from his bed, frozen, listening as the weeping returned. Not from the other side of the door anymore, but from inside his own room. Low, pitiful sobs. Terrified, he flicked on his bedside lamp and saw it. A figure hunched in a corner, pale, soaked in shadows, weeping so hard its shoulders shook. When he dared to whisper, "Who are you?" the figure lifted its face, eyes hollow, mouth open, not in a scream, but in a silent, endless cry. The light bulb flickered and burst. The room plunged into darkness. Alex doesn't remember how he got outside. He woke up at dawn, huddled against his car. They drove away and never looked back. Later, Alex learned the cabin had been owned by a family in the 1940s. One by one, each member died mysteriously, lost in the woods, drowned in the nearby creek. Only the youngest daughter remained, trapped and alone. Locals say she died in that upstairs room, locked inside, crying for someone to save her. ... Closing music, soft, echoing, weeping, fading into silence. The red-eyed visitor, when Marcus bought the little house at the edge of the woods, he thought he was getting a fresh start. After a rough divorce and a move across the country, the quiet, isolated home felt like a blessing. No neighbors, no traffic, no noise, just him and the trees. The first few nights were peaceful. He spent his evenings on the porch, sipping coffee, listening to the sounds of the forest, the chirp of crickets, the occasional rustle of deer. But then he started noticing something else. It began with a feeling, that prickling sensation on the back of your neck, the certain knowledge that you're being watched. Marcus would look up from his book or glance out the window, expecting to see someone standing there. Of course, no one was ever there. Just the trees, swaying gently in the breeze. Until the third week, it was just after midnight, during a heavy fog. Marcus was sitting in the living room, lights dimmed, watching an old movie, when something caught his eye at the window. Two glowing red eyes staring directly at him. The eyes weren't animal-like. No glint, no movement. They were perfectly still, round, human-sized, and they burned. For several minutes, Marcus couldn't move. He just sat there, locked in a silent staring contest with whatever was outside. When he finally found the courage to get up, he lunged for the porch light switch and flicked it on. Instantly, the eyes vanished. He rushed outside, heart pounding, searching the yard with a flashlight. Nothing. No footprints in the soft earth. No broken branches. No sign of anything at all. After that night, the red eyes became a regular visitor. Sometimes they'd appear in different windows. Sometimes he'd glimpse them peering around the trunk of a tree. Once, he even woke to find them hovering just outside his second-story bedroom window, 20 feet off the ground. Marcus stopped sleeping. He boarded up the windows. He installed motion sensor lights and security cameras. None of it helped. The cameras never captured anything. Just static and glitches whenever the eyes appeared in the lights. They would flicker and die, leaving him in complete darkness. Finally, one night, Marcus decided to confront it. He sat on the porch, shotgun in hand, waiting. Sure enough, just past 1 a.m., the eyes emerged from the tree line. Only this time, they moved. Slowly, deliberately, they drifted forward, like they were gliding, not walking. As they got closer, Marcus could make out something horrifying. The faint outline of a figure, lanky, almost skeletal. The red eyes burned against the inky blackness of its face. It stopped at the edge of the yard, just beyond the circle of porch light, and then it spoke, a low, guttural whisper that somehow carried across the still night air Lemian. Marcus didn't wait to hear anything else. He ran inside, slammed the door, and called the police. When the officers arrived, they found no one. But they did find something else. Scratched into the wood of the front door, deep and fresh, were 3 words, "You already did." Marcus packed up and left the very next day. The house still sits empty, slowly rotting under the weight of the woods around it. And at night, some people say if you drive past the old place and look closely at the upstairs window, you'll see a pair of red eyes staring back. The burning smell when the Johnson family moved into the big, sprawling house on Crestview Lane. They didn't expect anything unusual. It was an old house, sure, but it had character, the kind you can't find in new builds. The first storm hit 2 weeks after they moved in. Thunder rolled over the hills. Rain slammed against the windows. And then ... the smell came. It wasn't just dampness or mold. It was something harsher, something wrong, burning flesh, thick and acrid. The smell seemed to pour down from the ceiling, seeping into every corner of the living room. Mr. Johnson rushed to check the outlets, the fireplace, even the kitchen. But there was no fire, no smoke. Only that horrid, lingering stench. After the storm passed, the family laughed it off, blaming old wires or maybe something trapped in the walls. But it happened again and again. Every time it rained, the smell returned stronger, more suffocating, as if the house itself were remembering something. One night after a particularly violent storm, Mrs. Johnson noticed something new. Black greasy smears on the ceiling, almost like soot, but they dripped, slow and sticky, forming grotesque shapes. When they finally called a contractor, he pulled them aside after the inspection, pale and trembling. There had been a fire in the house decades ago, a fire no one had told them about. A family had been trapped inside, unable to escape the second floor. Their bodies were never recovered. The fire was so intense that the structure had collapsed before the flames could be fully extinguished. But here's the thing, the living room ceiling. It was built directly under where the bedrooms used to be. The smell wasn't just rot or mildew. It was something far worse. It was memory ... burned into the very bones of the house. The Johnsons moved out within the month. They didn't even try to sell the house, they just left. Today, the house still stands abandoned. Locals say when a storm rolls in, you can smell it if you get too close. A sickly, burning stench that no amount of rain can wash away. The man who lived in my chimney, I didn't know anyone was living up there until the third week. I had just moved into this older rental house on the outskirts of town. Brick, creaky floors, a half-finished basement, and a fireplace that hadn't been used in years. It smelled faintly of soot and something metallic, almost sweet. I figured it was old ash or maybe rats. But then things started happening. The first sign was the scratching. It wasn't loud, just faint, like fingernails on stone. I'd hear it at night or on 2 or 3 in the morning. My bedroom was on the second floor, but the fireplace ran all the way up the house, and the sound came from somewhere inside the walls. I thought maybe a raccoon had gotten me, but the landlord said no one had used the chimney in a decade, and it was sealed from the top with a steel grate. Week 2, I found ash scattered on the rug near the fireplace. No breeze, no open windows, just a small gray smudge in the exact center of the room. I cleaned it up. The next night, it came back, and this time, there was a boot print in it. Not a full one, just the front half small, narrow, not quite adult size, but too large for a child. I thought maybe someone was messing with me. A prank. I set up a motion-activated camera in the living room, pointed at the fireplace. Nothing for the first 2 nights. Then on the third, I caught something. At 2:42 a.m., the screen flickered on. A hand, thin, pale, reaching down from the chimney, dragging along the inside of the fireplace wall. Then it withdrew, slowly, and the ash fell again like it had been disturbed from above. The video cut off right after I called the police. They came, checked the place, climbed to the roof. The grate was still in place, undisturbed. They've shown flashlights down into the chimney shaft that saw nothing. Told me it was probably a glitch in the camera, that no one could physically fit in that space. It was barely a foot wide by the time it reached the top. I didn't sleep that night. On the 4th week, I woke up to breathing. I swear to God, I heard it drastically slow, echoing down the chimney like someone exhaling into a pipe. And when I got close to the hearth, I saw something inside. A face, not looking out, not watching me, but turned sideways, as if resting on the brick. Just a sliver of pale skin, a shut eye, and a slight smile like someone sleeping in a tight, terrible place. I moved out the next day, never went back. Never explained anything to the landlord. But sometimes, when I'm alone in my new apartment, I swear I still hear it. That slow, heavy breath. And once used, once I smelled ash again. The man who knocks once a year. I live in a quiet, boring suburb in Pennsylvania. The kind of place where nothing ever really happens. Cookie-cutter houses, freshly mowed lawns, and that eerie stillness that makes the nights feel a little too quiet sometimes. But for the past 7 years, on the same night in April, someone knocks on my door at exactly 3:12 a.m. just once. One knock, no second try, no doorbell, no footsteps, no car. Just knocked the first time it happened. I was in college, still living with my parents. We all thought it was a prank, maybe someone messing around. But when my dad went to check, no one was there. The street was dead silent. No cars, no wind, just cold silence. The second year, it happened again. Same time, same knock. This time, I was the one who heard it. I was playing Xbox with headphones on when I felt this weird stillness, like everything in the house paused. I pulled my headset off and that's when I heard it knock. Just one sharp, deliberate, like whoever did it knew I was listening. We installed a Ring camera after that. Motion lights, security alarms, everything. The third year, the knock came again. But this time, we had footage. At 3:12 a.m., the Ring cam froze. Just a static image of the porch, no knock caught, no motion detected. Then at 3:13, it kicked back on like nothing happened. We called the company, They had no explanation. By year 4, I had moved out, got my own place. A small townhouse, 30 minutes away. I thought it was over. Just some strange thing that happened at my parents' place. But on April 18th, at exactly 3:12 a.m., it came again. Knock. I sat up in bed, heart pounding. It was the same sound, same rhythm. I ran to the door and yanked it open. Nothing. Just my empty porch. My street, silent and still. This time I didn't tell anyone. I just waited. Year 5, year 6, different cities, different buildings. It didn't matter. It always found me. I even moved across the country once. Didn't tell anyone where I was going. Got rid of my phone, paid in cash. Stayed with a friend I hadn't talked to in years. April 18th, 3:12 a.m. Knock. My friend heard it too. This year was the worst. April 18th just passed. I stayed up all night. I locked every window. Put salt under the door like some weird superstition I read online. At 3:11 I held my breath. 3:12 a.m. Nothing. Not a sound, no knock, no weird stillness. I thought maybe it was finally over. Maybe I broke the cycle. Then at 3:43 a.m. my phone buzzed. A voicemail, no number. I played it back, expecting static. Instead, I heard my own voice whispering, "Let him in next time. He's getting tired of knocking." I heard my name through the walls. And it wasn't me. True creepy apartment story. I moved into a new apartment last year. It was a nice, quiet complex on the edge of town, with high ceilings and freshly renovated units. It was affordable, too. I got lucky. The first few weeks were normal. I got to know a couple of the neighbors, especially the guy in the unit next to mine, Chris. He seemed like a nice guy, always friendly, always saying hi when I passed his door. But then, I started hearing things. It was subtle at first. It wasn't much, just a tap on the wall every now and then, like something knocking or maybe a light thud. At first I thought it was just the building settling, but the noises didn't stop. In fact, I woke up one night around 2 a.m. and heard it clear as day. A voice from the wall. It was soft, but it was unmistakable. It was my name. Adam. I jolted upright. I thought maybe I was dreaming. So I rubbed my eyes and tried to go back to sleep, but then it happened again. Adam. I tried to ignore it, but every night, around the same time, I'd hear it. Sometimes it was just a whisper. Sometimes it was a soft knock or a thud, followed by that same voice. It wasn't my name, though. It was his name. One night, it happened again, but this time, I couldn't ignore it. I stood up, walked over to the wall, and knocked back. No response. I knocked again, harder this time. And then, through the wall, I heard it. A slow, deliberate voice. "I'm not who you think I am." I froze. My stomach dropped. I didn't know what to do. I knew I had to find out what was going on, but something in the pit of my stomach told me I wasn't ready. The next day, I went to Chris's apartment to confront him. I knocked on his door and waited. No answer. I knocked again. This time, louder still. Nothing. Finally, I tried the door, and it was unlocked. I stepped inside. The apartment was empty. Nothing was out of place. But the weirdest thing, the walls were covered in scratches. Faint, vertical lines etched into the plaster, like someone had tried to claw their way through. I walked deeper into the unit. The air was thick, and the silence felt wrong. And then I saw it on the floor under a pile of old newspapers. It was a cell phone, a cheap one. No brand name. I picked it up, turned it on, and the screen blinked to life. There was only one message. It was from Chris. "Help me, I can't get out." They're waiting. I ran out of that apartment so fast I didn't even lock the door behind me. I haven't seen Chris since. He didn't answer my texts. The landlord says he moved out without giving notice, but his apartment is still locked. No one's been inside. But sometimes, at night, I still hear it. The voice. Adam. And the tapping. I don't know who's on the other side of that wall anymore, and I don't want to find out. My phone connected to a Wi-Fi network that doesn't exist. It happened while I was driving through a dead zone middle of nowhere. No cell service for miles. I was using offline maps just trying to get to a cabin I rented for the weekend solo trip. No distractions. No internet. That was the point. But then my phone chimed, connected to Wi-Fi. I nearly drove off the road. There were no houses around, no towns, just trees and dirt. I pulled over, unlocked my phone, and checked the list of available networks. There was only one. "We see you, strong signal." Full bars. I tapped it. No password required, nothing loaded, no browser redirect. Just silence. Then my phone buzzed. A notification. Not a text. Not an app. Just a black screen with white letters. I shut the phone off immediately, but the car radio crackled to life. It was my voice. "You don't listen? You never listen?" I turned the volume down enough, switched station static, turned the whole thing off, and it kept playing. My voice, distorted and glitching. "Turn back, turn back, turn back." I threw the phone into the glove box, yanked the radio fuse from under the dash, and sat in silence. For 10 minutes, I stared at the road ahead. Then the dashboard lit up, not the usual lights. Every warning light flickered at once. And the GPS, though it was off, turned itself on and showed a new route. No road names, just a pulsing red line leading into the woods. The screen said, "Last chance." I turned the car around and floored it. No service for another 30 miles. When I finally reached a diner with signal, my phone was still off. But when I turned it on, everything looked normal. Except for one thing. Undersaved networks was one I couldn't delete. "We see you last connected." Now, even with Wi-Fi turned off, it keeps showing up everywhere I go. And every time I try to forget it, I get another notification. We never lost signal. I followed a man who looked exactly like me. It happened 2 months ago at a gas station off the interstate. One of those dim, empty places that always smells like burned coffee and hot plastic. I was driving home late from a work trip, just trying to stay awake. I had just filled up and was walking back to my car when I saw him. A man stepping out of the store, same hoodie, same jeans, same exact sneakers I was wearing. At first I thought, weird coincidence. Then he turned. Same face, same beard, same eyes, same tiny scar on the left eyebrow. I got playing baseball as a kid. It was me. He looked right at me, didn't flinch, didn't seem surprised, just stared for half a second, then turned and walked toward the alley beside the station. And I followed him. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to catch up and yell, "Hey, what the hell is this?" Maybe I was just too freaked out to think. But I followed. The alley led behind the station, into an overgrown trail I'd never noticed before. Trees on both sides. No lights. Just this dirt path that felt older than anything around it. I kept going. About 5 minutes in, I lost sight of it. Then the air changed. I don't know how else to describe it, like stepping into a room where the air's been sitting still for years. Heavy or silent. And then I saw something ahead. A little clearing. Just grass and fog and copies of me. I swear to God, dozens of them, all standing in place, facing different directions. Some of them looked older, some younger. One had a nose ring I never had. Another was missing an eye. But they were all me. None of them moved. I turned to leave, heart racing. But the trail was gone. Just trees now. No path, no sign of how I got in. Then I heard a voice, right behind me. "He followed you back this time." I turned around. The one I'd seen at the gas station, the original one, was standing there. His mouth didn't move, but I heard the words like they were being whispered inside my head. "You're not supposed to be here. You left the wrong version behind." Then everything went black. I woke up on the floor of the gas station bathroom, face down, nose bleeding. My car keys were in my pocket, engine still running at the pump. That was 2 months ago, and ever since I've noticed things, my reflection blinks out of sync sometimes. My dog growls at me when I come home. My own mother asked me jokingly if I'd lost weight or gotten surgery. But the worst part, every time I see a mirror, I swear I'm being watched from the other side. The voice on the baby monitor wasn't my wife. My daughter's just over a year old. Beautiful big eyes, never stops smiling. My wife and I are first-time parents. So yeah, we're paranoid. We bought one of those baby monitors with night vision, two-way audio. Probably overkill, but it gave us peace of mind. Until last Thursday. It was around 2 a.m. My wife was dead asleep next to me. I was half awake, just lying there, when I heard her voice come through the baby monitor. Soft, almost a whisper. "It's okay. Sweet girl. Go back to sleep." I assumed my wife had gotten up, gone into the nursery without me noticing. But when I rolled over, she was still in bed snoring. I sat straight up. The monitor crackled again. "Mama's here." That voice, it sounded exactly like my wife, but slower, almost like someone trying to sound like her. I jumped out of bed and ran to the nursery. My daughter was sleeping peacefully. Crib untouched. No one in the room. I searched the house. Every door was locked. Windows sealed. Alarm armed. Nothing. I went back to the monitor feed. It was frozen. The timestamp said 2:06 a.m., but it wasn't moving. I restarted it, hoping it was just a glitch. When the feed came back, something was. Off of the room was the same, but the lighting looked duller. The crib was there. My daughter was there, but she wasn't sleeping. She was staring straight at the camera, not moving, not blinking, just locked onto it with this vacant look, like she was listening. And then came the whisper again. "She's learning to hear me now." I yanked the monitor's power cable out of the wall. We switched to a different brand, an external audio, just video. But last night, it happened again. Not through the monitor, not through a speaker, but right outside our bedroom door. Mama's here. There's something wrong with the cameras at work. I work night security for an office complex on the edge of town. It's one of those newer buildings with sleek glass walls, motion lights, and 100 empty cubicles that all look exactly the same. I usually don't mind the shift. It's quiet, peaceful, but lately, the cameras have been acting weird. It started about 2 weeks ago. I was doing my usual rounds on the monitor wall, just watching the live feed cycle through the halls, elevators, stairwells. At around 2:30 a.m., I noticed something strange. One of the hallways kept looping, camera 14, the footage would show a man in a suit walking from the left side of the screen to the right. Then it would reset same and same over and over again. I rewound the feed, thinking it was just a glitch in playback, but no matter how far back I went, the man was always walking, always looping. What made it weirder was that the hallway was completely empty when I checked it on the map. No lights triggered, no motion alert. I even got up and walked the hallway myself. No one there, not even footprints. Just cold silence and the faint buzz of... I reported it to my supervisor the next morning. He told me it was probably a corrupted feed and to ignore it unless it trips the alarm system. Classic brush off. The next night it got worse. I was checking camera 6, one of the elevator views, and saw a man standing inside, perfectly still. He was facing the camera. No motion, no expression, just standing there like a statue. He didn't move for an hour. At first I thought it was frozen footage again, but the time stamp was ticking. Normally, the lights in the elevator flickered like usual. The digital floor numbers changed. But the man never blinked, never shifted, just stared. At 3:12 a.m. the feed cut out. When it came back, the elevator was empty. I ran down to check. No one in the building. I checked every floor, every room. The elevators hadn't moved. By this point, I was getting seriously creeped out. Then came last night. I was scanning through the lobby feed. When I saw someone walking toward the camera, they looked disoriented, head twitching, shoulders jerking like they couldn't quite control their body. As they got closer, I froze. It was me. Same uniform, same beard, same patch on my arm. I watched myself stumble toward the camera, mouth moving like I was trying to say something, but no audio came through, just silence. Then the version of me on camera stopped, stared directly into the lens, and smiled. That's when all 16 camera feeds went to static. No video, no control, no sound. Then my radio crackled. It was the voice of the shift before me. "Hey, you good man, you went off. Your shift ended hours ago. We've been trying to reach you." I looked at the wall clock. It was 7:30 a.m., but according to my phone, and the timestamp on every single feed, it was still 3:12 a.m. I'm home now. I quit this morning, burned the uniform, blocked the number from HR. But I keep thinking about that looping footage, that version of me walking toward the camera. I wonder if he's still down there, still smiling.